Algeria is the next host for the Intra-Africa Trade Fair as the third edition IATF 2023 ends in Cairo, Egypt, of course, with multi-billion-dollar agreements reached across sectors. President Bola Tinubu also rounded up meetings in Saudi Arabia to sought investment opportunities for Nigeria to ease economic strain as inflation numbers continue to rise, along with foreign exchange market volatility. Now, all these have implications for the Nigerian economy, of course, as the nation drives to build a stronger GDP base. But what are we selling as a nation, and are we earning proportionately? Now, if you want to trade across borders, this episode is for you. I mean, you should be interested in having a slice of the numbers. But of course, you must be a producer with a target market. We also have prepared for you on the menu our complimentary segments, simplify these as well as rates of food prices across markets and the country. My name is Leah Babatunde, and this is The Policy. Before we dive into the business of the day, let's take a look at major happenings in the economy.
Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 27.33% in October 2023, relative to September 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 26.72, as released in recent data by the National Bureau of Statistics. The October 2023 headline inflation rate showed an increase of 0.61 percentage points when compared to September 2023 headline inflation rate. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 6.24 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2022, which was 21.09%. Food inflation was 31.52% in October 2023, from 30.64% in September 2023. President Bola Tinubu has met top officials of the Islamic Development Bank to negotiate a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure finance facility to help build ports and power plants. Ajuri Ngalale, spokesperson to the president, in a statement said that President Tinubu held talks with the Islamic Development Bank Vice President Mansour Mukhtar in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where he pointed out that Nigeria has serious deficits in port infrastructure, power infrastructure, and agro-allied facilities, but did not provide further details of the finance package sought by the government. Mukhtar said the Islamic Development Bank is ready to work with the government to support big investment in Nigeria, which is expected to get a significant share of $50 billion Africa Investment Fund announced by the bank in cooperation with the Arab Coordination Group. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, has unveiled plans to leverage the nation's assets to generate about $13 billion annual revenue and boost federal government revenue and achieve revenue to GDP of 25% by 2026 from the present 8%. Edun disclosed this while speaking at the launching of the AfriVest 2023 Nigerian Banking Sector Report in Lagos. The minister, who was presented by the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, Dr. Armstrong Takang. Edun said the plan includes enumerating all national assets, introducing governance, monetizing and optimizing the assets. He said the actions will be achieved through a national assets register to be created by MOFI, which will be leveraged to generate revenue of up to 3% of the nation's gross domestic product, or $13.3 billion. The plans will also be used to increase the value of national assets under management AUM of the MOFI to 100 trillion naira from the present value of 18 trillion naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) says it has extended the legal tender status deadline of the old design of 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1000 naira denominations ad infinitum, in line with international best practices and to forestall a repeat of earlier experiences. The CBN, in a statement signed by its Director of Corporate Communications, Issa Abdul Mumin, said all banknotes issued by it in accordance with Section 20, subsection 5 of the CBN Act 2007 will continue to remain legal tender ad infinitum, even beyond the initial December 31, 2023 deadline. The statement added that the central bank is working with the relevant authorities to vacate the subsisting court ruling on the same subject. Accordingly, all CBN branches across the country will continue to issue and accept all denominations of Nigerian banknotes, old and redesigned, to and from deposit money banks. Abdulmumin enjoined the public to continue accepting all Naira banknotes, old or redesigned, for day-to-day transactions and handle them with utmost care to safeguard and protect the life cycle of the banknotes. He also encouraged the public to embrace alternative modes of payments, e-channels, for day-to-day transactions. It will be recalled that the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced the redesign of 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira denominations in October 2022, and certain deadlines were set for the old design of these denominations to cease as legal tenders. After 52 years of listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Union Bank of Nigeria has announced that it would be delisting from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Titan Trust Bank (TTB), the core shareholder in Union Bank, has completed acquisition of the minority shareholding of Union Bank, leading to the request to delist. In May 2023, Union Bank received an offer from its core shareholder, Titan Trust Bank Limited, to acquire the shares of all minority shareholders in Union Bank after the completion of core investors' sale of a majority shareholding to Titan Trust Bank Limited, a subsidiary of TGI Group. Commenting on this development, Mudassir Amri, CEO of Union Bank of Nigeria, said the move is an effort to attract larger private investments to reconsolidate the bank's position as one of the top pioneer banks of Nigeria. Titan Trust Bank (TTB), promoted by the former CBN Deputy Governor Tunde Lemu, late 2021 got the approval of the Central Bank of Nigeria to acquire an 89.4% stake in Union Bank of Nigeria, and in June 2022, it completed the deal to acquire a 93.4% stake in the bank. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) Limited has restored 275,000 barrels of oil per day production following a peace deal it brokered between the management of Total Energies, operator of the NNPC Total Energies joint venture, Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association (PENGASSN), and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NUPENG), in a communique issued at the end of the marathon negotiation session chaired by Orisemeyiwa Eyeson, Executive Vice President, Upstream NNPC Limited. All parties committed to resolving all the issues within an agreed framework. The communique was signed by Total Energies MD CEO Matthew Boyer, PEGASSN President Comrade Festus Osifo, and NUPENG President Comrade Williams Akorega. It was witnessed by NNPC Limited's EVP Upstream Orisemeyiwa Eyeson and Chief Upstream Investment Officer NNPC Upstream Investment Management Services Bala Wunti. Also in attendance was Victor Bandele, Deputy Managing Director Total Energies. The African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, has launched a new initiative that will open doors, allowing African contractors to capitalize on various infrastructure investments available across the continent. Professor Benedict Orama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afreximbank, joined by Rania Al-Mashat, Minister of International Cooperation of Egypt, launched the Afrexim Intra-African Engineering Procurement and Construction Contract Promotion Program during the Presidential Summit of the Intra-African Trade Fair 2023 in Cairo, Egypt. Roma told guests that the program was one of the bank's initiatives to support the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, saying that it aimed to enable African companies to successfully bid for, win and execute infrastructure contracts in Africa through capacity building, twinning, market access opportunities, financing, guarantees and technology solutions. Ms. Al-Mashad said that the launch of the program will have a positive impact on Africa's agenda for sustainable development. She described the platform as a strategic and effective solution to tackle 3 significant challenges preventing Africa from reaching its potential, including lack of funding, insufficient information, and a skills gap. Addressing those challenges was especially crucial to tackling the infrastructure funding gap on the continent, estimated at $170 billion annually, which could be fixed by promoting international cooperation and attracting investment in infrastructure. Attending the presidential summit was host President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt, who was joined by President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe and Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi. Also present were Prime Minister Mustafa Modboli of Egypt and former President Olusegun Obasanjo of Nigeria, along with several former African vice presidents, 7 ministers, other political and business leaders.
So there's been this ongoing debate about the cost of exporting from Nigerian ports and the duplicity of functions at the ports. And so on this episode, we're looking at Nigeria's trade policy direction and its implication for exports. So it is good news that Nigeria's non-oil exports has improved over time, especially this year, but then the same cannot be said for value addition and the processes involved in exports. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Soji Apampa. Mr. Soji is the founder and executive director of the Convention on Business Integrity in Nigeria. That's quite a very worthy cause, Mr. Soji.
Thank you. I'm also the founder of CBI Innovations Limited,
Exactly.
that is in agriculture.
Okay.
So this is a topic close to our hearts.
Okay, that's very, very nice to know. And
Yes.
For starters, I have been trying actually to understand. This is an ongoing conversation, both in conventional and non-conventional media, of course. Just what it costs to export, say, 100 tons of goods, of cargo from Nigeria. And perhaps you take us through the process. What is the process like?
Okay. The basic costs are logistic costs. So there are costs that you pay, your shipping line, costs that you pay to get the necessary certificates. So NAFDAC, SON, terminal charges, all of them for one 40-foot container comes roughly to about maybe 550,000. And you're talking 100 metric tons, that would be around 2-point-something million for about 4 containers. 4 40-foot containers will take you around that 100 metric tons. So you get to about 2 million plus naira that you're spending to ship them.
Okay.
That's apart from the cost of the goods, of course, that are
goods
inside the container.
itself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is, I would say this is a bit soothing, coming from concerns raised by a number of Nigerians. But why these numbers? Have you bothered to ask or to find out why they're not easily available at fingertips so that we don't just keep doing the guesswork that has been going on?
The export industry and the role of our officials seems to feed off opacity. Opacity.
How do you mean?
Okay. For things coming into the country, there are standard operating procedures. It is very clear because as a country, we're more used to importing than exporting. The ease to find information on what it takes to import, you can actually trace it step by step. Who do you need to pay this levy? When you open your Form M, what do you need to do first? Then next, all of that is very well documented. But when it comes to export, it's not as clearly documented because apart from those in oil and gas who are shipping and exporting every day, the rest of us don't really produce anything for export. So it's not very well known for that reason. But it's not that it's not available. It's just not well known. And once you think you know it, for example, you think you know what charges you have until you say, okay, I'm going to cancel. I'm not moving my cargo on that day. I need it to go on another day. Then hidden charges come up that were not advertised. They then tell you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that, and so on, which you did not know prior to embarking on the whole journey. Many exporters find themselves caught in that trap.
Oh, wow. So what would you say are the most daunting challenges before Nigerians who are exporting to other countries?
Actually, the most daunting challenge for exporters in Nigeria is not cost, and it's not even the opacity of the information. It's delays. Delays, those are the issues, especially in the Lagos axis, the Western ports, as they're called. Delays. So I think somebody did an example that's been going around social media on yams. If you want to export your yams, you know, you take the tubers, they're cleaned, they're individually wrapped, then they're put in boxes, the boxes are stacked, you fill a container, and so on. Do you know it takes on average 70-something days to actually start from packing to exporting that container? 70-something days in Nigeria's Western ports. Do you know how long it takes in Ghana? 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So you can see the frustration. Meanwhile, what will happen to your yam that was fresh the day you packed it and has spent 70-something days and hasn't left Nigeria's shores? More than 2/3 would have spoiled now. It would have rotted. By the time it arrives in Europe, of course, it's going to be rejected. So many Nigerians who actually want to export first take their things to Ghana. And once you get it to Ghana, you know, in 3 days, it's in Europe. Isn't that crazy? So that is the biggest challenge. Now, where does that come from? Again, is the multiplicity of agencies that we have to go through. I have to do SON, I have to do NAFDAC, I have to meet so many regulatory requirements before I can get anything out of the country. So if you look at it, all of these things together add cost, add delay, add wastage. So is it really worthwhile, therefore, to ask Nigerians to become net exporters? It's like we're not quite ready for the export business.
So with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, do you see it addressing these issues when we're talking about Nigerian exports to other African countries now?
AFCFTA just tells us that there's a massive market called Africa. And those who are going to be able to benefit from it are going to be those who can actually consolidate cargoes. So, am I consolidating cargo in Nigeria? For which Nigerian vessel, please, to carry? Because shipping from here, if I want to ship to Ghana, it will reach Antwerp first.
What?
Before it gets, yes, I cannot ship. Which shipping line do you have in Nigeria that will carry your goods from Nigeria to Accra? You don't have. Kenya the other day launched some vessels that they built in Kenya. Ghana has vessels. So you will give your trade to other people. You will be seeing that blue economy with your eyes, but your mouth will not taste out of it, as they say. Because that is what is going to happen. Except we do something. Number one, we budget money for various things like infrastructure and for like ships. But where are the ships? Because I understand from the senior mariner, Captain Ihe Nacho, from one of the interviews we did with him, that during Obasanjo's time, a lot of vessels were bought. But today, not one single one of them exists. So if we don't have ships, then how are we going to export? We will have to depend on those who come from Europe. So they will be the ones to actually stage it. Togo is already a hub. Tema Port is already a hub. Abidjan, can also do the same. They can do the same in Dakar. So they will skip us and jump to maybe Point Noir or somewhere else further down. There's really nothing for the Gulf of Guinea, for Nigeria, that is centrally placed within the Gulf of Guinea. We don't really have the ability. Okay, take single window. IMO says through FAO convention that by January 2024, all countries should have implemented single window. I beg, where's our own single window? We don't even have a single window. Well, customs will reject what I said because they have a single window. But that's not what was envisaged. It's a single window that all stakeholders can use to perform their duties, is what I'm referring to as a single window. So the one that customs has just for itself is good, is a good first step, but it's not enough. Whereas in other countries, you do your documentation once. Everybody who needs the documentation
Just
has
fixes.
access.
Yeah.
That's why things can be very quick.
So this seems like we're still talking about the multiplicity of having to do the entire process. You're doing it a number of times. So now the trade policy, we have a new trade policy 2023 to 2027. Do you see it in any way addressing these issues?
We know as Nigerians that it's not the policies that are the issues. Although some policies help, like Executive Order 001, when it came from the presidency, which has now become the Business Facilitation Act, that was very important, very strategic. But it's in the implementation. So that one was strategic and is working simply because Shippers Council, Ports Authority, all the agencies at the ports were mandated to make it work. And Shippers Council was given the authority to do it. Now, this other trade policy, I beg, who is driving it? Who's driving it? What's in it for them in driving it? If that isn't clear, then it's not going to happen. So we've learned in Nigeria, it's not enough to just have the policy, you also have to designate a lead agency to ensure compliance with that policy, if you're going to get anything out of that policy implementation.
So I would like to end on this note of hope. Perhaps I would say data from the National Bureau of Statistics is already pointed that in the second quarter of this year, we recorded significant increases in non-oil exports that even outweighed the imports. Do you see that being sustainable, and how would that drive growth?
Now, I don't know if it is sustainable. I know that people can't find access to Forex, and I hope that that is what is driving it. I hope people are waking up that actually until you export, you don't earn foreign currency. And you need that foreign currency to be able to improve your life back home. So if that is what is happening, then so long as we're in the mess that we're in with Forex, then that will be sustained until people get some relief. And when they get some relief, we go back to consumption, just importing, because, as I mentioned, it is actually difficult to export for people who want to export. So the first thing we need to change are the processes. We've already changed it on the import side. Things are clearer. We can do the same on the export side. On the import side, vessel clearance used to be very expensive and difficult. It has improved in Nigeria, and it is globally recognized. Cargo clearance too has improved somewhat. In some terminals, they're doing double the number of containers that they used to do before. So that has improved also. But the export side is now what we need to focus on, and we can replicate the same thing. So it's not hopeless. It has good prospects because we already know what to do to make it work.
Okay.
I'll leave it there.
I want to sincerely thank you, Mr. Soji, for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
My name is Aldo Mekori. Keep watching the policy with Leah.
It aims to provide policymakers an opportunity to explain their policies in a way that members of the public affected by those policies can understand and engage with those policies.
Keep watching the policy with Leah.
What are we learning today on Simplified Days? We are bringing you a breakdown of fiscal policy. What do you know about that? And the school of thought that is behind it. Let's find out, and from there we go to the market. For more on details from markets across Nigeria, do well to log on to our sister website, www.marketnigeriatv.com. We have all the details for you there. This episode is available, as well as all the previous ones, on YouTube on our channel at Saban Media Services. Do well to also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Your feedback, we value them, so keep the questions, comments, and suggestions coming. The program returns same time and same station next week. My name is Leah. They say, have a beautiful weekend and God bless Nigeria.